Is it just me, or do ads not feel the same anymore? Like, sure, when we were kids, we were more susceptible to ads because of our tiny little bird brains, but I think it feels a little different in another kind of way. With the rise of the internet and being able to talk to anyone around the world at any given time, today's general population has become hyper-aware of advertisers and the tactics they use to market towards us. We're all very aware of the fact that no company has our best interest at heart, and they will lie to us and actively do their best to manipulate us into buying their product. I'm not saying that this makes us immune to advertising, because that is very, very far from the truth. But I do think that we're seeing advertisements in a different light than what we previously have as a society. Like, I know I'm not the only one who, whenever I see an advertisement on YouTube or whatever streaming service, probably 80% of the time it just makes me mad more than anything else. You're telling me that you have the gall to interrupt my private leisure time, something that many Americans are currently starved of, to try to manipulate me into spending money on your product, at the same time as making a dumbass joke that is almost never funny. Your ad just played after a cliffhanger, buddy. I'm going out of my way to get your competitor's brand from now on. While yes, this is a silly way of thinking, I do get this thought process a lot, and I know I can't be alone on this. 90% of the ads I see are just downright offensive to me. Hold on. Take a look at this Fruity Pebbles ad that I particularly hate.
We need to fix this.
Huh? Slay.
Is your life bland and boring and sad? Well, just eat Fruity Pebbles and you'll get all the color back. Fruity Pebbles will literally change the outcome of your day and make electronic music play as you walk downtown with your girl boss besties. And then just throwing the word slay at the end makes it so much worse for me. Hey fellow girls and gays, we use that word that you like. Don't you want to buy our cereal?
Slay.
You can argue that this commercial is for a younger audience, but I don't think they feel much different than we do. The younger generation is just as exposed, if not more exposed, to the internet than we are. They know these companies are trying to manipulate us just as much as we do. They aren't stupid. If you ever use Instagram, almost any sponsored ad that has unlocked comments will have "nice try Diddy" plastered all over the comments. You will not see anything else. Some might say it's just another dumb joke that these kids are doing, but honestly, I am so here for it. This is their way of saying, fuck off, no one cares. We know you're probably lying to us about the quality of your product to get us to spend money on it, and I could not be prouder of them. Maybe this is dumb to point out because it's very obvious. Everyone knows ads are trying to sell something, but I think it's really interesting to think about how much the dynamic between the modern day advertiser and consumer has changed. However, this change in dynamic is, of course, not exclusively on the side of the consumer. Companies are well aware of this shift in attitude towards advertisements and have begun to adapt their advertising tactics to suit the new age we live in. Enter the meme advertisement. I'm sure you've seen them. Babe, wake up! The Duolingo owl just tweeted another slightly edgy joke. Brands aren't supposed to do that! While this one has definitely gotten a little old recently, I'll still take it over this shit. These at least make an attempt to feel a little less soulless and devoid of any real human emotion than the other ads do.
Chat, this is a rare GAT sighting. This is a rare GAT sighting.
Also, these actually tend to do much better with a younger audience than traditional ads that we'd see on TV. And I think a reason they work so well most of the time is because these are taking away the corporate veil that we see covering most modern advertisements.
This is a rare GAT sighting.
They feel more intimate because they aren't necessarily being nice and appealing to the most generic and broad demographic possible. Like I said, I much prefer this style of branding, but it still feels very artificial and pandering at times, because it is. Only so many brands can tweet out something out of pocket before it loses its charm and just comes across as boring or, dare I say, cringy. Also, a lot of these types of advertisements reference internet memes, which usually have a lifespan of approximately 42 minutes.
Whew, eat spicy goodness like a boss.
So I think if you're doing this type of advertising, you have to be genuinely funny and creative. It needs to feel like there's some sort of motivation or integrity behind it, besides the intent of selling something. And 9 times out of 10, you simply can't have that if you are trying to sell something. But this isn't the only way advertisements have evolved during the age of social media. They've also evolved in a much more sinister and much more terrifying way. Advertisements are not always clearly advertisements anymore. In fact, the more a company can find a way to hide the fact that they're advertising to you, the better. With the rise of TikToks and influencers becoming a very real influential thing, advertisers have gotten sneakier with their techniques. The The age of technology that we live in allows for people to get famous on the internet using only their personality, and this can sometimes start to build a parasocial relationship where the person can sometimes even blindly trust the influencers that they're watching. This is where companies will come in and offer these influencers a sum of money that they just can't refuse, and essentially just pay them to advertise their product. It can actually be a good thing if the product is well made and the content creator does their research on the product and gets paid for pursuing their creative endeavors. However, it becomes a pretty big problem when the influencers lie to their audience about the product's quality, and worst of all, when the influencer doesn't even specify that they're being paid to advertise. While sure, that's illegal, it doesn't stop them from doing it. Influencers will post undisclosed ads all the time, and when companies are sneaky like this, these advertisements suddenly don't feel like a brand trying to manipulate you into buying a shitty product to help their bottom line. It feels like there's a friend, someone you know and trust, telling you that they endorse this product. This can obviously be very dangerous. Is there anything we can do about it? Well, sadly, I don't really think so. We live in a world where being advertised to isn't a choice. It's going to happen unless you live under a rock, and even then I heard they're starting to put billboards under those. All we can do, and what I ask of you to do, is be aware. Be aware of these predatory tactics that some companies choose to embrace. And if you're able to recognize these, you'll be able to make a more informed choice about what you buy. I've been pretty negative this video, which I'm not sorry for. I think that we as a society are getting tired of constantly being advertised and lied to, and having these negative emotions towards advertisements is justified. However, maybe we should talk about good ways to advertise. Because while I have a disdain for most modern ads and advertising in general, it's more because of their execution rather than the concept of advertisements themselves. Believe it or not, I'm not anti-advertisement, and I don't think you should be either. I think advertisements can be a good and healthy thing if they meet a certain criteria. I think that in order to have a good ad, it should be concise, honest, and very clear on what the product does and how it functions, aka 2% of all advertisements out there. But ads can definitely be good. I like ads that are creative, ads that give platforms to artists and allow them to make genuinely charming and creative ads instead of just opting to go for a safe, corporate feeling product. I know I sound so whiny, but I want more whimsy. I want more fun. I want actual personality. Sadly, this is something we rarely get anymore. Every now and then I'll see an ad and think, that was creative or that was funny, but it seems so few and far between nowadays. Everything just feels so safe and corporate, and I understand it's to appeal to the masses, but I think one day soon, it's not gonna cut it anymore. We're getting tired of it, and it's showing. I think something we can expect to see in upcoming years is more subtle, undisclosed ads. I think it's going to get harder and harder to tell when something is an ad and when something isn't. But the optimist in me hopes that we can also see more creative and artistic ads as companies start to realize that no one takes these horrible corporate ads seriously anymore. I'm not sure if anyone out there will agree with me on this. I just wanted to get my thoughts out there because this is something I think about a lot. Thanks for watching, guys. See ya.